took my brother." A grieving teenager's rage erupts in a courtroom brawl. A son's vengeance unleashes gunfire in a Brazilian court, and a killer's taunt sparks a family's desperate chase. These are not scenes from a movie, but real-life courtroom confrontations fueled by unbearable loss and raw fury. This documentary dives into the heart-wrenching true crime stories of James Douglas Gonzalez, Francisco Cleidevaldo Mariano de Moura, and Paul Wade, where the pain of victims' families explodes into chaos. From a party shooting in Alabama igniting a brother's wrath, to a deadly dispute over a donkey in Brazil escalating into a courtroom shooting, to a double murder in Kentucky provoking a family's pursuit, these cases reveal the devastating collision of grief and justice. What drives loved ones to confront killers in the face of law? Can justice heal the wounds left behind? Join us as we unravel these stories of sorrow, vengeance, and the search for closure. James Douglas Gonzalez. He was only 18. A teenager's life is cut short, and his brother's grief erupts in a courtroom attack. What sparked this tragedy? We begin in Mobile, Alabama, in July 1992, where James Douglas Gonzalez, a 22-year-old with a history of petty theft, stood trial for a senseless killing. On the night of June 12, 1991, Gonzalez attended a house party in Mobile's Oakley neighborhood, where a heated argument with 18-year-old Matthew Hall, a high school senior known for his basketball talent, turned deadly. Gonzalez, claiming self-defense, pulled a .22 caliber pistol and shot Hall in the chest, killing him instantly. Witnesses described a chaotic scene, with partygoers fleeing as Hall collapsed. Gonzalez was arrested the next day, charged with murder, Alabama. Code Section 13A62. At his trial in Mobile County Circuit Court before Judge Robert Kendall, the courtroom was packed with Hall's family, including his father, Matthew Hall Sr., and younger brother, Kevin, 16. The prosecution presented eyewitness accounts and ballistic evidence, but Gonzalez's defense argued the shooting was a reaction to a perceived threat. On July 15, 1992, the jury returned a verdict of criminally negligent homicide, a misdemeanor carrying a maximum of 1 year in jail, citing insufficient evidence for premeditation. The lenient verdict, reported by Mobile Press Register, stunned Hall's family, who expected a murder conviction. Kevin, overcome with grief, leaped from his seat in the gallery, vaulting over a barricade to charge Gonzalez. "You took my brother," he shouted, landing a punch to Gonzalez's face before his father joined the fray, according to court records. Deputies and onlookers struggled to subdue the pair, with spectators gasping and Gonzalez's mother and grandmother breaking down in tears. The Halls were charged with contempt of court, Alabama, receiving 5 days in jail. Gonzalez, sentenced to 1 year in Mobile County Metro Jail, served his term and was released in 1993. The case, covered by WALA-TV, highlighted Alabama's 12% rise in youth homicides from 1990 to 1995. Alabama DPS data. Hall's mother, speaking at a community vigil, described Matthew as a bright light with dreams of college. Kevin's attack, though impulsive, reflected the family's anguish over a justice system that seemed to fail them. Mobile's community rallied, raising funds for a scholarship in Hall's name, but the pain of his loss lingered, underscoring the fragility of justice in the face of grief. Francisco Cleidevaldo Mariano de Moura. A son's vengeance in Brazil. "You killed my father." A son's rage explodes in a hail of bullets. What drove a courtroom to the brink of death? We travel to São José do Belmonte, Brazil, on October 24, 2012, where Francisco Cleidevaldo Mariano de Moura, a 38-year-old farmer, faced trial for a shocking murder. In Lagoa Alexandra, a rural community, de Moura and his neighbor, Francisco Alves, clashed over a missing donkey, a dispute that escalated into violence. On March 15, 2012, de Moura, enraged, shot Alves, 45, multiple times with a .38 revolver outside his home. Alves, a father of 3 known for his generosity, died en route to a hospital. De Moura was arrested and charged with murder under Brazil's Penal Code, Article 121, as reported by Diário de Pernambuco. "You killed my father." A son's rage explodes in a hail of bullets. What drove a courtroom to the brink of death? We travel to São José do Belmonte, Brazil, on October 24, 2012, where Francisco Cleidivaldo Mariano de Moura, a 38-year-old farmer, faced trial for a shocking murder. In Lagoa Alexandre, a rural community, de Moura and his neighbor, Francisco Alves, clashed over a missing donkey, a dispute that escalated into violence. On March 15, 2012, de Moura, enraged, shot Alves, 45, multiple times with a .38 revolver outside his home. Alves, a father of 3 known for his generosity, died en route to a hospital. De Moura was arrested and charged with murder under Brazil's Penal Code. Article 121, as reported by Diário de Pernambuco. Terto was arrested the next day, charged with attempted murder, Brazil Penal Code Article 121 CW Article. De Moura was convicted of murder and sentenced to 18 years in a Pernambuco prison, where he remains at 51. The case, covered by Jornal do Comércio, exposed Brazil's 15% increase in rural homicides from 2010 to 2015. Alves's family, devastated, held a memorial attended by 300 locals, remembering him as a man who shared everything. Terto's courtroom shooting, while shocking, reflected a son's desperate need to avenge his father, leaving São José do Belmonte grappling with the cycle of violence and lax courthouse security, which prompted new metal detector protocols.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Paul Wade. A double murder sparks a family's chase. You disrespected them. A killer's taunt ignites a family's pursuit through a courthouse. What fueled this chaos? We conclude in Louisville, Kentucky, on November 23, 2021, where Paul Wade, a 31-year-old with a history of felony convictions, faced an arraignment for a double murder. On October 30, 2021, in Louisville's Russell neighborhood, Wade shot and killed Edward Smith, 26, and Alexis McCree, 24, a young couple, in a targeted attack. Surveillance footage from a nearby store captured Wade firing multiple rounds from a 9mm handgun, leaving the victims dead on Preston Street. Already on probation for a 2019 robbery, Wade was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder and possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. KRS Section 507.020, Section 527.040, per Louisville Courier-Journal. At his arraignment in Jefferson County Justice Center before Judge Ann Haney, the courtroom was tense. Smith and McCree's families filled the gallery, their grief palpable. An 8th grader shadowing Judge Haney, aspiring to be a judge, watched in horror as events unfolded. Wade's attorney was absent, prompting a rescheduling to November 1st. As deputies escorted Wade out, he muttered an expletive toward the gallery, taunting the victims' families. "You disrespected them," a relative shouted, per WDRB News. 4 family members, 2 brothers, and 2 cousins of the victims, leaped over the railing, chasing Wade through a door behind the judge's bench. Judge Haney hit the panic button, yelling, "Help! God!" as the 8th grader ducked in fear. Deputies used pepper spray to subdue the group, with Judge Haney stepping down to assist. The 4 family members were arrested, charged with disorderly conduct and obstructing governmental operations, KRS Section 519.020, Section 524.100, with 2 facing additional assault and resisting arrest charges. Wade, unharmed, was denied bond and awaits trial, with proceedings ongoing as of October 2025. The case highlighted Kentucky's 18% rise in gun homicides from 2019 to 2023. KSP data. Smith and McCree's families, speaking at a community vigil, remembered them as inseparable, full of life. The chase, though chaotic, underscored their anguish, prompting Louisville to increase courthouse security training, with 10% more deputies assigned to high-risk hearings, post-2021. These stories, James Douglas Gonzalez facing a brother's wrath, Francisco Cleidivaldo Mariano de Moura surviving a son's bullets, and Paul Wade evading a family's chase, reveal the raw, untamed grief that erupts when justice feels out of reach. In Mobile, San Jose de Belmonte, and Louisville, families crossed the line from spectators to AV. Avengers, driven by the unbearable loss of loved ones. Yet their actions raise haunting questions. Does confronting a killer bring closure, or does it deepen the cycle of pain? Can a courtroom, built on order, contain the chaos of human sorrow? As we reflect, we honor Matthew Hall, Francisco Alves, Edward Smith, and Alexis McCree, whose lives were stolen, leaving families to navigate an impossible void. If you or someone you know is struggling, call 988, Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or 1-800-799-7233, National Domestic Violence Hotline. Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more true crime stories, and join us as we explore the human heart behind the headlines, seeking a path toward healing.